That took a lot longer than I thought it was gonna take. But everything shut down for me over here. Nobody scored during the time that I was gone. Not like I'm actually streaming the game, but yeah, everything went down. Everything went down. Took a while to get everything back up. I gotta figure a few of these things out. It's not what you expect to see. I really unfortunate that everything turned off. Thoughts on the Commanders game? There's not any thoughts to really have. The team's not good. The team's not good. Everything is going to hell. Everybody's hurt. Everybody's injured. Jaden's injured. It's a wrap on the season for the Commanders. That's not much to really say. So there's no real thoughts to speak on the Commanders. They got smoked. I was there. I watched it. It was brutal. They got smoked. Their season is done. We know their season's done. Not much to really say past that. Am I being unfair for not trusting anything this defense does until they do it against a contender? I mean, not really. I don't think anyone's looking at this defense and saying they can go take on a top tier contender. Like if they've faced off against Detroit again, does anyone believe they're going to stop Detroit's offense? No, not really. So it just becomes all of that. It's just like, okay, that's cool and all, but nobody trusts this defense to go stop the Rams offense or go stop the Lions offense or do anything against the Chiefs. So it's completely fine. Like this team has to earn it, and the only way they can earn it is by getting to the playoffs and proving that they can earn it. We saw what they did against the Chiefs. They blew it. We saw what they did against Kansas City. They got humiliated. We saw what they did on Monday Night Football against the Lions. They got manhandled. I wouldn't trust this defense either. They haven't done anything to make you want to trust them. So I don't blame you for not wanting to trust them. I don't think anyone's sitting here and saying, "Oh, this defense is back. We completely trust them now." It's more like the defense is playing well. They're doing what they need to do right now. Just keep it up against these subpar teams, and we can make the playoffs. So it's just like that. No one's actually looking at this defense and saying, "Oh, they're a legitimate threat right now. This defense is all the way back." Even in this game, they made a lot of mental mistakes. If anything, the best we can hope from this defense is that they're similar to the 2017 Ravens. I'm not going to declare them that just yet. I'm not going to say the defense has reached that level just yet, but the last few games they're getting close to looking like the 2017 Ravens defense. Because that 2017 Ravens defense, they played a lot of zone. There was a lot of moments where they were conservative. They played bend but don't break. This was when Dean Pease was still our defensive coordinator. That 2017 Ravens defense played a lot of bend but don't break type defense. They gave up a lot of yards. They gave up a lot of big plays, but they weren't giving up the most amount of points. They weren't giving up a lot of points especially in the red zone. When it came to the red zone, they didn't break. They were pretty good as a red zone defense because they weren't giving up touchdowns in the red zone. So they were giving up a lot of big plays and a lot of yards, but they weren't giving up a lot of points. And they were creating turnovers. In 2017, we led the league in takeaways. So that's the best you can hope from this defense. The best you can hope is that this defense is good and gets good to the point where they can at least create multiple turnovers every game. Because if they can do that, you're in a position where you could be fine. But it doesn't mean your defense is gonna be great. Like I said, the 2017 Ravens defense wasn't viewed as great. 2018 defense was viewed as great because it was actually the number one defense. But 2017, I mean, they played really good defense when it came to creating takeaways and making stops in the red zone. But ultimately, they weren't this huge stopping, enforcing type of defense. They weren't that type of defense. So yeah, I don't think you can look at the Ravens defense and say they've become that. The best you can hope for is for them to turn it to 2017. Don't think the Ravens scheme fancies edge rushers to be productive. They don't. Their scheme doesn't really fancy edge rushers to be productive. We don't really have a lot of talent at edge rushers, so it's not like we can really see what they're capable of. But it doesn't really fancy that, especially because we like to play our edge rushers. We like to back them up into coverage at times, which is really annoying when we do that. Here comes a 3rd and 4. Herbert has time, and that's another pass that's batted down. I'm going for that. Wait, Oh, I thought they were about to say a penalty. Cam Hayward makes a stop here. It's 4 down, and I'm going for it. If I am Jim, I'm going for this here. They're going to kick the field goal? Guys, I'd rather just go for this here. I'd rather just go for this here. 59-yard field goal. Dicker, the kicker, he's not going to make this. Oh my God, he made it. He actually got it. What a legend. He actually got it. 59-yard field goal is good. That's a lot of trust you just showcased there, Chargers. A Chargers kicker just made a 59-yard field goal. What is happening right now? And for them to trust him in that situation, kicking situations don't usually go well for the Chargers, which is exactly why I didn't want them to kick it. But you know what? Dicker the kicker, showcasing he's got that gene in him. Well, this isn't even a clutch moment, so I can't even say he's got that clutch gene. Just showcasing he can execute in these situations. But yeah, Ravens defense played well today. I went through the numbers before the stream cut off, so I'm not going to go through the numbers again. But the Ravens defense did their job today. Ravens did their job today. That was good for them to do their job. The defense carried. The offense today was just not what you needed it to be. The offense was much better in the second half because we saw the adjustments from Todd Monken. But that offense in the first half was putrid. And again, the offensive line still sucks. Baltimore has no chance to do anything with that offensive line. And as soon as these hard-headed coaches realize that Daniel Falele is just not an NFL caliber guard. He's just not. He's so terrible. He's so terrible. But you know what's unfortunate? He's so bad. But everybody else on the offensive line is playing poor. And because they're playing poor, he gets to get away with it. Because at the end of the day, people be saying, how can you sit back and just target Falele when Voorhees is playing just as bad? And you saw Linderbaum, he ain't playing well in the contract year. And you see Stanley at times gets beat. And you see Rosengarten at times off the edge get beat. Everybody else on this offensive line has had poor moments. But Falele has been the worst. If we're going to rank it, Falele's the worst, then Voorhees, then Rosengarten, then Stanley, then Linderbaum. Then again, you can also say there's been a lot of times where we started to see Linderbaum showcase a lot of poor moments. So maybe the order is Linderbaum third, and then you have Stanley, and then you have Rosengarten. Or you switch that and say we're going to give Rosengarten the top spot, and then Stanley can be second. However you want to look at it. Either way, your weakness is with your guards. Your weakness is with your guards. We all know the weakness is with the guards. It's not even close. Andrew Voorhees definitely deserves to be benched, but you don't have a replacement for him and Falele. Unfortunately, Falele's not going anywhere. The offensive line is terrible. Your guards are terrible. They can't block. They stink. A competent organization would wake up and realize that these guys are just not cutting it and that we need to make a change. But unfortunately, this is the Baltimore Ravens. And these guys are filled with pride. And because these guys are filled with pride, they want to do things their own way. And since they want to do things their own way, they're not going to listen to the fans when they say, hey, this guy's not cutting it. No, he's going to be cutting it. You know why he's going to be cutting it? Because we chose him. Also, another thing I didn't talk about here was the fact that the Vikings were very sloppy in this game. I'm not even gonna lie, the Vikings were incredibly sloppy in this game. I don't know what was going on with them. They had 8 false start penalties. 8. How do you have 8 false start penalties and you're at home? How do you do that? 8 false start penalties. You're in your own building. You're at home in your house. And you're having trouble with the hard count from your quarterback? How does that happen so consistently? That don't make no damn sense. That's just crazy to me. That is absolutely crazy to me. But that ain't my problem. That ain't my problem. That's the Vikings' problem. I don't know how that happens, but hey, man, it is what it is. But yeah, the offensive line, excuse me, is just bad. Yeah, JJ McCarthy only completed about 50% of his passes. Vikings offense is gross. Can't say too much. I mean, I can't say too much about that because that offense was doing their thing last week. Not to mention, our offense wasn't looking too great today. Lamar Jackson only completed 58% of his passes. And yes, we know it's because of the drops. We all know it's because of the multiple drops. But, I mean, that's. I mean, we're going to use the completion percentage argument. We do have to bring that up. And the Chargers right now, their defense is doing their job right now. But yeah, I mean, the defense did their job, and the offense was just problematic today. What was that? Why is Falele still on the Ravens? Because the Ravens love him. Falele's their guy. The Ravens work on pride and doing things their own way, not actually doing things that could be beneficial. If it's not, they want to win their way. If they can't win their way, they don't care about winning. They have to win their way. Otherwise, what's the point? Falele is Harbaugh's guy. They love Falele. They believe in Falele. So Falele gets to continue to be out there. Even though he's a complete mess. Everybody can see he's not good enough to play that role. Everybody's actively calling him out. The Ravens refuse to say anything about it because that's their guy. And they'll go to bat and defend him because that's their guy. Even though he should really be out of the lineup. But again, the Ravens have already shown you that you can't even trust their judgment. Do you know how long it took for Keaton Mitchell to see the field? Hell, we've seen Tez Walker show some flashes, and he can't even get on the field right now. And then you have other people say we got more than enough weapons. Yeah, how's that working out? Did you see how the offense looked today? You don't think we could have used a Tez Walker in some of these moments? You have talent, and you don't want to utilize that talent. You got guys out there that should be out there that are out there, and then you got guys that are out there that shouldn't be out there that are on the field. It's the Ravens' way. They do things their own way. They don't care about anything else. They're going to do things their own way, and that's just going to be how things are going to go. A-Rod is looking for a flag. No penalty here. It's going to be fourth down. The Steelers are going to have to punt once again. And right now, things are getting grimy. Things are getting grimy for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They can't move. They can't do anything offensively right now. That's a penalty. That's a penalty. That's a penalty. Where is the penalty there? That's crazy. Steelers might have got cheated there. That looked like a penalty to me. That really did look like a penalty. I think the Steelers got cheated. Him being on the field is putting their 250. They don't care, Nick. They want to do things their own way. Ravens fans have been saying this for weeks now. I mean, they were saying this since last year, and we saw the fact. We saw that he was out there last year. They didn't care. He's out here again this year. They don't care. They're gonna do things their own way. If it puts Lamar at risk, so be it. They look. I'm telling you, a lot of these guys just look at Lamar as Superman. They look at Lamar as Superman. I don't think they look at Lamar Jackson the person. They look at Lamar Jackson the wow, spectacular Superman player because they think he could just do everything. It doesn't matter. We don't have to invest in the offensive line. Lamar will cover us. Lamar will take care of us. Give him a proper offensive line. Give him good guard play. He don't need that. Lamar Jackson's Lamar Jackson. He'll just break out of the tackle. He'll make the play because he's Lamar Jackson. That's what they do. I think there's times where I feel like this franchise is just in awe of Lamar Jackson. So because they're in awe, they think he can do everything on his own. Hey, Lamar Jackson's been spending years covering up for us. He could certainly do it again, right? We don't need to give Lamar Jackson an offensive line, right? I mean, why would we need to do that? It's ridiculous. This is the offensive line play that you have out there, and yet we're not doing anything to protect our quarterback. This is the offensive line he's going to war with on Sundays. They can't even properly, they can't run block, they can't pass protect. Farlele looks like a freaking, he looks like a complete moron out there. I'm not even going to lie. I'm not going to pretend. He looks like a moron out there. He looks like he actively doesn't know what he's doing. And if that's the design of how they have these guys blocking, that's pathetic. Because there's too many times where everybody's blocking somebody and we're actively watching Falele block nobody. If that is how it's supposed to be lined up, then my God, they're doing a terrible job. If that is actually how that's supposed to be lined up, they're doing a horrendous job. You cannot convince me that that's what they're teaching him. Everybody's blocking somebody except him. How is that possible? He's out there actively blocking nobody way too many times where he's just in his block position, blocking nobody. Everybody's blocking somebody. He's blocking nobody. Come on, man. The dude's constantly putting his head down every time trying to block like an idiot. The guy's constantly falling over himself. He's incompetent. But that's what we got to work with at guard play. But it's fine. Like I said, once you already accept what the Ravens are, you understand they're not going to win a championship. You don't really have to stress about it. This team ain't winning no damn championship. I ain't worried about it now. I already told y'all, the Dodgers went back to back. They won the World Series. I've already gone through the stress. The entire month of October was stressful for me because I was worried about my team in terms of trying to go back to back. I already went through the postseason woes with my baseball team. If Baltimore wants to be trash, let them be trash. I don't have the energy or patience. Not, but I don't have the energy or care to really be mad anymore about what the Ravens do. They want to put their franchise quarterback at risk by putting an idiot out there as a guard who can't do anything and looks like a complete moron every time he steps foot on the field and attempts to block. They want to put that moron out there? Put him out there. That's your investment. He gets hurt, you got to deal with the problems. I don't have the energy to really care. I said it after the World Series that the Ravens could miss the playoffs. I will not care. They can make the playoffs and lose in the first round, or lose a playoff game to the Bills or Chiefs like they always do. I would not care. I don't have the energy to really care. The Dodgers won the World Series. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. And there goes Justin Herbert. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Kyle Hamilton's far away the best player on our defense. I mean, that's not really a hot take. You know, I mean, that's not a hot take. Everybody knows Hamilton's the best defensive player on that team. He's one of the best safeties in the league, if not the best safety in football. So we knew that. I'll be shocked if Emery gets playing time on the offensive line. I doubt that. Finally, they make a wish situation. Looks like he doesn't belong. He's Harbaugh's special baby boy. Dodgers got a better chance than the Ravens. Dodgers got a better chance to do what? To three-peat? Like, what do you mean Dodgers got a better chance to what, Kevin? There's a flag on the play here. We'll see. But what did the Dodgers have a better chance of doing? I just want to specifically know what you are referring to there. Gilman addition changed our defense. Allowed Kyle Hamilton to do whatever, to roam around and do whatever you want. You just needed it could have been anyone, honestly. But I'm glad Gilman's doing his job. But as long as you have a comp to win a championship, well, the Dodgers just went. The Dodgers just won a championship. They went back to back. It's not, again. It's not really a Dodgers got a better chance. Yeah, just like water is wet. It's the Dodgers are essentially. I don't know if you're a baseball guy, Kevin, but the Dodgers are a dynasty, so that's not really a difficult subject to talk about. Back-to-back champions for the first time since the Yankees did it in 98 to 2000. The Dodgers are going to look to work on their three-peat next year if they can pull it off. They've also won 3 championships in the last 6 years. Yeah, they're a dynasty, so we can't really compare the Dodgers to the Ravens. The Dodgers know what it's like to win. If you want to make a comparison to the Ravens, we're the Phillies. The Ravens are the Phillies. You got all the talent in the world to get it done, and the biggest moments, you can't get it done. Actually, I can't even say we're the Phillies. The Phillies won a championship. I don't want to. Oh God, I can't call us the Padres. That would hurt me personally. Let me think of another team. I got to think of another team. I can't say Blue Jays because they came out of the what. I got to think of another team. Oh my God, I'm not calling us the Padres. I don't care what anyone says. I'm not calling us the Padres. Ah, I have to pick a team here. I gotta pick a team here. We're not the Mets. Again, the Mets. No, the Ravens are not the Orioles. No, don't even disrespect us like that with the Yankees. I know the comparisons everybody makes with Lamar Jackson and Aaron Judge. I've heard enough of it. And again, we can't even compare ourselves to the Yankees. They at least made it to the World Series. We haven't been to a Super Bowl yet. They made it to a World Series. I'm trying. Oh God, I don't want to pick the Mets. We're not the Mets. We're not the Mets. I can't do myself like that. And we're not the Orioles. Because again, Baltimore's made it to the AFC title game. When's the last time the Orioles have? You know what? We're not even gonna do that. We're not even gonna do that. We're not even gonna do that. I'm not. I'm not. Ugh. Can't. It's four down here for the Chargers. They gotta make a choice. God, the Mariners. Can't say the Mariners. The Mariners have never been to the World Series. Baltimore's won two titles. The, the Mariners are the only team in the MLB to never have a World Series appearance. The Mariners have never made it to the World Series. They were very close to making it to the World Series this time around. They're going to kick another field goal, and they miss it this time. And just like that, all the momentum has shifted back to the Steelers, 15-3 with 45 seconds left. But yeah, the Mariners have never. The Ravens have won a championship, so they've won multiple championships. The Mariners have never made it to the World Series. They're the only team in baseball that has never made it to the World Series. They had a chance. They were in Game 7 in the ALCS this year against the Blue Jays. They had a 3-1 run, and they proceeded to. They kind of blew it in the 7th when George Springer hit a 3-run homer, and they just could not recover. And Julio Rodriguez, man, he was screaming in the locker room after that game. San Francisco Giants. Not the worst pick in the world. It's not the worst pick in the world. I don't think it's a 1-to-1 there, but it's not the worst pick in the world. I gotta really think about it. Like I said, I would love to say you know what? I could say the Phillies, but they got to a World Series in 2022 and lost. All right, Orioles are 0-10 in their last 10 playoff games. The last playoff win was 2014. Yeah, the Orioles haven't really done. What's going on, John? We might not. I couldn't say with the Kansas City Royals. Oh my god, I gotta think of a team. I really gotta think of a team that's gonna fit that. In terms of recent postseason, Phillies really fit the role. If we're talking about recent postseason expectation, you know what? We might be the Braves. We might be the Atlanta Braves. But then again, the Braves missed the. If we missed the playoffs this year, that's a different conversation. If we missed the playoffs, I could revisit this because the Braves, there are expectations on the Braves to be a contending team, and they missed the playoffs this year. They were dealing with injuries, and they blew a lot of games they shouldn't have blown. Yeah, that happened. He got ejected. I think it was Payne. Payne, that's the one that got ejected. San Francisco is an interesting one to throw up there. I'm not gonna. The Giants are an interesting one to throw up there. Um, but yeah, the Phillies really fits. I'm not gonna lie. The Phillies really fit. The 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 Phillies really fit, but the Phillies at least got to a World Series and lost. We haven't been to the Super Bowl yet. I don't think I can get a 1-to-1, but the Phillies is my best chance to bring up a team to really talk about. Nobody has expectations for Tampa Bay. And the Tampa Bay Rays got to a World Series. They lost to my Dodgers during the pandemic ring. So they also got to a World Series and won. St. Louis Cardinals. No one has expectations for the Cardinals though. Nobody has. Again, the Giants, the San Francisco Giants might be the best bet we could put up here. I know. I think the Phillies is the closest because there's high expectations to win. You've got an MVP type contender with Kyle Schwarber. You've got Kyle Schwarber. You got Bryce Harper, Trey Turner. They got too much talent on that damn team to just underperform and fail to get it done. There's expectations every year on the Phillies to get it done in the postseason. They have fallen short. And the fact of the matter is, they ran out of time. There was a ticking time for these guys to win with that core, to win with Kyle Schwarber still being there with Bryce Harper in that unit. They had their shot in 2022. They lost the World Series. Since then, they have underperformed in the playoffs and they failed to get back to the World Series. The Phillies is the best choice I could get, but they've been to a World Series. The Giants is also an interesting one, but San Francisco has kind of fallen off as of recently. The Giants haven't been good in a while. So it's also tough to really say San Francisco. Because again, it has to be a consistent contending team that falls short of expectations, which is why the Phillies are definitely the one you could pick. The Phillies would definitely be the best choice I could get here. I can't say the Royals. I don't look at the Kansas City Royals like that. Yeah, they won the World Series in 2014. Go look at the reasons now. The Giants have not been great in quite some time. They've struggled since that World Series win. They've had their moments though too. But I'm trying to. I'm just thinking the Phillies might be the best one because at the end of the day, Phillies still didn't win that championship. Ah man, the Phillies might be the best pick to put up here. I refuse to call us the Padres. I refuse to say the Padres and the Ravens are the same thing. The Padres have never won, so I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt. No, we don't talk about teams that have never won a championship and put them in this conversation. But yeah, San Francisco Giants would probably be a solid one. The Phillies would definitely be another one that you would have to put up there. Um, Not gonna say the Mets. Can't say the Nationals. Not the Royals. No one's talking about the Rockies. Um, Cincinnati. Not the Reds. Not the Reds. Uh, Yeah, but the Giants haven't been competitive. The thing is, we need to have a team that is consistently competing for a playoff spot. The Baltimore Ravens are consistent playoff contenders because they make the playoffs damn near every year under Lamar. They just underperform. That's why Philadelphia is a better one. The Phillies are consistently the Phillies are a team that's consistently making the postseason and have expectations to go the distance. They just fall short. The Cubs, you know what? That's an interesting one. That's an interesting one. The Cubs won a championship in 2016. That's their only championship. So I could work with that. And the Cubs have been a team that's had some expectations, not a lot of expectations. It's hard to put the Cubs because again, the expectations weren't high for the Cubs to go the especially not this year. The Cubs weren't expected to really go the distance this year. In fact, if we're looking at it, many people thought it was going to be the Dodgers and Yankees again. The Yankees had the expectations, the Dodgers had the expectations. Philadelphia has consistently had the expectations. That's why the Phillies are my pick for this. There was some expectations on the Braves. There was some expectations on the Cubs if they could put it all together. Milwaukee didn't have any expectations coming into the year, but they won the most amount of games out of every team in the league, and they had the number one seed. So that could have been it. That could have been another one. The Blue Jays, no one expected them to do what they did, so they were a surprise. The Tigers, again, Detroit wasn't exactly had any expectations to compete for a championship. That wasn't expected to be seen. The Padres had a lot of expectations, or had some expectations coming in because the Padres nearly beat the Dodgers in the NLDS last year. Because they were up 2-1 against us, and we won games 4 and 5, and then went on to win the World Series and stuff like that. So the Padres had expectations, even though they didn't do anything in the offseason. In fact, they had one of the worst off seasons in recent history for them. So Padres did have some expectations, not a lot, but they did have some expectations. It's really tough. It is really tough. The Phillies is really the best fit in this aspect. The Phillies are really the best fit here in terms of that conversation. Minnesota, no. No, not the Twins. Not the Twins. That's not a good example either. There's no expectations on Minnesota either. Eagles game tomorrow should be good too. Yeah, Eagles versus Packers should be good. Doesn't mean it's going to be good because we don't know what to make out of Green Bay Packers. That Packers offense is still a problem, and I don't know if they're going to show up and compete with Philadelphia or get smacked by them. I don't know. It don't matter right now. I think Phillies is definitely the best example we could put up here because every year we have expectations for the Phillies to reach that level of greatness, especially with the talent they have and knowing the time was ticking for them to be able to get it done. And they've had teams that have been good enough to go win the championship. They just haven't won the World Series with this unit. So it's been unfortunate for them. The Phillies is probably the best example. Uh, But yeah, I mean, the Ravens are going to choose to do whatever they want to do, man. They're not going to move off of Falele and put in Emory Jones to replace him. If Emory Jones comes in, I'm telling you right now, he's 100% replacing Voorhees. They're not getting rid of Falele. They're not. Falele's awful. The fans are tired of him. Everybody can clearly see he's bad. The franchise is too prideful. I'm not going to sit back and act like these guys are incompetent. They're not. They're too prideful. The Ravens want to win their own way, and they want to win with Daniel Falele being their right guard. They don't care what anyone else has to say. They want to win their own way. And since they want to win their own way, Falele is going to continue to stay as their starting right guard. They may make a change in offensive line, but I'm guaranteeing you it's going to be Voorhees. They're going to take out Voorhees. That's going to be the case. They're going to take out Voorhees and put in Emory Jones. I'm letting you guys know this right now. Falele is not leaving the line. You can say whatever you want. You can feel however you want to feel about it. They love Falele. They constantly go to bat for Falele, even though he stinks, and everybody knows he stinks. That is Harbaugh's guy, so he's not leaving the offensive line. 3rd down and 6 here for the Steelers. It's a 15-3 game here in the fourth quarter with 12:48 left to go in the game. Deep drop back for A-Rod. A-Rod fires. Had an open man. Just missed him. 4th down coming up here. And if you're the Steelers, you have to consider going for this. It's 4th and 6. You're down by 12 with 12 minutes left to go in the game. You might have to consider going for this. Do you think Ozzy still has some say in the front office? Probably some, but it's EDC's job now. So Ozzy doesn't say. He has a say, but doesn't mean he's the one that's also making the decision. He's retired, man. He leaves that up to EDC to do his job. 4th down here. That's a flag. They're not going to call pass interference. That's a turnover on downs. I don't know about that. I'm pretty sure that looked like PI. You know what? No. I'm gonna sit here and say that's a good no call. Both of them were fighting for the possession. He did not obstruct DK Metcalf from making the play because again they both have an equal fair chance at the ball, and the defender is actively looking at the ball. He's looking. He's not his eyes aren't looking towards the opposite direction. He's looking towards where the ball's coming. They're fighting for it. And at the end of the day, he won that matchup. So I'm agreed. I don't think that would be a pass interference. So I'm gonna take that back. I think that's a good no call there. Because they're both fighting. They have a fair chance at that ball. They're fighting for the possession. Yeah, I will sit back and say I think that's a good no call. Rodgers is 9 of 21, 91 yards with an interception. Well, that's tough for him. I hope this continues to be bad for them and they lose this game so I can sit back and say we're 1 game behind. What's going on, Chaos? Appreciate you stopping by here. We're just recapping the Ravens and Vikings game. How in the hell did the Dolphins beat the Bills? It's a divisional matchup. It's a divisional matchup. You guys keep forgetting that divisional matchups make no sense and anybody can win. It doesn't matter how trash a team is. It's a divisional matchup. The Bills beat the Chiefs and a week later they lose to a divisional rival. It happens. It really happens. I mean, it's not a shocker. Now, to be fair, the Bills have always owned the Dolphins, so to see the Dolphins manhandle them is kind of shocking. But also, it's a good thing to see that for the Dolphins. You know, they needed that confidence. No, you don't fire everybody in Buffalo because of that. You don't fire everybody in Buffalo. You had a bad loss against a divisional rival. It happens. Again, like I said, divisional games make no sense, but it happens. We've had some questionable losses too. We've had some questionable losses against divisional rivals we shouldn't have lost to. Remember, we lost in Cleveland last year to Jameis Winston getting his first start. Jameis Winston getting his first start of the season. We went to Cleveland last year and lost to the Browns. It happens. It's a divisional game. Divisional games will never make sense no matter how you look at it. Remember, the Steelers in 2015 needed to beat us to make sure they secured a playoff spot. We beat them on Christmas. It happens. It happens. It's a divisional game, man. It happens. First and 10. Quick throw here. Oh, nice stiff arm by Quentin Johnson. And a juke. Oh, my goodness. He's making some moves and picks up the first down. Roman has attacked the flats in predetermined passes more this game than his entire time at Baltimore. Good for Greg Roman. Definitely fire everybody in Cleveland. You can fire everybody in Cleveland, and it still wouldn't change anything. That team ain't winning a damn thing anytime soon. So you can fire everybody in that offense. It ain't gonna change nothing. They still gonna be what they are. You ain't changing anything in Cleveland. Fire them, bring new guys. They'll still lose. Enough with the divisional excuse. Josh Allen played like trash. So when the Ravens lost to the Browns last year, to Jameis Winston and the Browns, were you saying the same thing? Because I remember Lamar playing in that game, and he did not play like trash. And we lost to the Cleveland Browns. It's divisional games, dude. They never make sense. As much as you want to sit back and kind of get at it because we always want to do this Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen thing, I'm not going to sit back and be like, oh, man, they really, Josh Allen was garbage. And then, did Josh Allen play well? No. Did they get smacked? Yes. But am I surprised? Not necessarily, because again, divisional matches, anything can happen in divisional games. We lost to Cleveland last year. Jameis Winston leading the charge, and we lost to those guys. With Lamar Jackson and the Ravens offense not turning the ball over once, we lost that game. I think Lamar had 2-3 touchdowns in that game? We lost to Winston when he was hand-delivering 5 turnovers that none of our defenders wanted to get. Divisional games are weird. It always happens. You can pretend it's not a real thing all you want. These things happen. And yes, Lamar didn't play like trash, and defense was trash that game. Guess what? The Bills' defense was trash in this game too. Go look at what the Bills' defense did. Again, divisional games are weird. You cannot sit back and act like we haven't seen something like this happen before. Divisional games are... Oh! McConkey! Can he take it? He gets down inside the 15. Oh my goodness. We had 5 drop picks in that game. It was sad, yeah. But like I'm saying, dude, again, divisional games are always going to be weird. We lost to Pittsburgh when Kenny Pickett was the quarterback. It's divisional games. We can pretend that doesn't play a factor. It does. Divisional games have always been weird. This is not the first time we've seen it. It won't be the last time we've seen it. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills lost to the Jets in week 1 when Aaron Rodgers was there, and he ended up playing 4 plays towards Achilles, and Zach Wilson became the quarterback. Divisional games are weird. No matter how you look at it, divisional games are weird. That's all I gotta say. It's a bad week for the Bills. They're coming off of beating the Chiefs. They'll be fine. At the end of the day, come back to me. When it comes to the Bills, come back to me if they lose to the Patriots. Now we can have a conversation. Because the Patriots are fighting for that division, right? Patriots are first place in that division. The Bills may end up having to go on the road as a wild card team. When the Bills and the Patriots meet up, let's see what happens there. If the Patriots beat the Bills, we'll have a real conversation there. But you can have some bad games. We lost to the Raiders last year. Touchdown Chargers. They extend the lead with 9:26 left. Oh boy. Oh boy, things are getting interesting, bro. If the Steelers lose here, they're dropping to 5-4. And guess what? We knocking on the door. Hey, Pittsburgh. Guess what? We back. We here. And we got Cleveland next week. And let me tell you this right now. We got Cleveland next week. We win that game. We go to 5-5. Let me see who the Steelers have next week. It's a long game left. 9 minutes left. Anything can happen here. But let me look at who the Steelers have next week. Oh, crap. It's an AFC North fight next week. Will Joe Flacco do it again? It's AFC North week next week. I didn't even realize it. AFC North week next week. Ravens, Browns, Steelers, Bengals. Can the Bengals do it again? Because I ain't worried about no Cincinnati. Can the Bengals do it again? Let me tell you this right now. Chargers win this game. Steelers go to 5-4. Baltimore meets Cleveland next week. Pittsburgh meets Cincinnati. Cincinnati already beat Pittsburgh with Joe Flacco. And we've already beaten Cleveland, and that was when Joe Flacco was there. They got Dylan Gabriel now. This is the craziness that is the AFC North. I'm telling you this right now. If Cincinnati beats Pittsburgh next week and Baltimore beats Cleveland, Baltimore takes first place in the AFC North after starting 1-5. That is a realistic scenario that can be played out here. That's crazy. After starting 1-5, if Baltimore wins if Pittsburgh goes on to lose this game and then they lose next week to the Bengals, Baltimore takes first place if they beat the Browns. So we'll be sitting here in the month of October, to end October, we were sitting here. We were sitting here at 1-5. We could be here in November, and all of a sudden Baltimore's back to being first place in the AFC North. Technically, we were never first place in the AFC North, but that's the crazy part. Dylan Gabriel's not dropping 40 on nobody. There's not an NFL defense he's dropping 40 on. Let's be serious. Best of luck to that guy, but he's not dropping 40 on nobody. He couldn't drop 40 on the Bengals defense if he tried. And the Bengals defense give out points like candy. But everything becomes real fun in the AFC North next week. I just want to point that out. If Pittsburgh goes on to lose this game against the Chargers, everything becomes fun. Baltimore takes on Cleveland. Pittsburgh takes on Cincinnati. If the Steelers lose and the Ravens win, Baltimore's back to being at 500 and they'll take first place in the AFC North. You gotta love this. If you're the Jags, do you move on from Lawrence? He's been really inconsistent, but he's not really the only one to blame for their struggles right now. They paid him the money. Unless they've got a plan to go and... Right now with their record, they're not set up to go draft a quarterback. No one in this upcoming draft is some sort of major game changer in terms of the quarterback draft. You can't move off of Lawrence. There's no answer. If you move off of Lawrence, who are you going to go to? They're kind of stuck with this. They're kind of stuck with this. They are absolutely stuck with this Lawrence situation. Like, realistically, they're stuck with this Lawrence situation. There is no other alternate solution. Who are they going to go with? Their record right now isn't in a situation where they'd be able to get a high draft pick. And even if they did, look at the quarterback class that they're getting. Has anybody stand out? Look at the Heisman race. Has any of these quarterbacks stand out majorly? I don't think so. There's going to be someone that wins the Heisman Trophy, but do you look at this quarterback class as strong? So it don't matter how you look at it. The quarterback draft class this year ain't strong, or this upcoming year ain't strong. And then you got the Jaguars that are not set up to get a high draft pick unless they just start losing. There's not much you can really work with here. Also, dude, if the Steelers go on to lose this game, this will be a damn near perfect week for us. Think about it. The Patriots won, so they stay in first place in the AFC East, which means the Bills don't get to have a home field advantage through the playoffs. The Chargers win tonight. They put themselves in the good. Not to mention the Broncos won on Thursday. Chargers win today. They continue to try to push themselves further from Kansas City to make sure Kansas City doesn't get home field advantage throughout the playoffs. That's 2. The Steelers lose, so we get very close to the AFC North. That's 3. And then the Bills lose to the Dolphins. That's 4. I mean, you couldn't have a perfect scenario if you tried. If you wanted to push agendas as a Ravens fan, this is the week to push agendas. We were dead in the water. We were dead in the water. And if everything works out for us next week, we're going to be first place in the AFC North. I'm not joking. We were dead in the water at 1-5. And if everything works out next week in the Ravens' favor, we're going to be first place in the AFC North. That's actually crazy. If everything works in our favor, we're going to be first place in the AFC North. That is actually crazy. $8:48 left to go here. 1st and 10 for the Steelers as they continue to try to keep themselves alive. They're down 19. The Chargers can't choke. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh, that's Gabe. That's Gabe. Oh, the Steelers are done. The Steelers are done. Guess who's knocking at the door, Pittsburgh? Guess who's knocking at the door, Pittsburgh? Hey, hey, hey. Check the watch. I told you, Pittsburgh, it was a matter of time. It was a matter of time, Pittsburgh. It was a matter of time. It was a matter of time, Pittsburgh. It was a matter of time. Oh, y'all in trouble now. Woo! Oh, I gotta see what happens next week. If Baltimore blows it, they blow it. But the opportunity's right in front of them. Baltimore wins and Pittsburgh loses, Baltimore takes first place in the AFC North next week. Oh, this is a different conversation now. We were dead in the water. This is why everyone sat back and said the Ravens are still favored to win the division, even though they're 1-5. We think they can get it over Pittsburgh, and this is exactly why. 22-3 against the Chargers. Good Lord, have some dignity for yourself. And they're going to put up more points too. Have some shame, Pittsburgh. Oh my goodness. And this is perfect. Chargers are going to go to 7-3. Chiefs are 5-4. Oh, this is perfect. Hey, Flacco, can you do it again? Can you sweep the Steelers this year for me, Flacco? Can you sweep the Steelers? We'll see what happens against you when we meet up with you guys on Thanksgiving. But can you sweep the Steelers for me? Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Everything just got interesting in the AFC North. Everything just got interesting in the AFC North. If Baltimore wins next week and Pittsburgh loses to the Bengals, Baltimore claims first place in the AFC North. I want to reiterate that. If Baltimore beats the Browns and the Bengals beat the Steelers, Baltimore takes first place in the AFC North. And at that point, it's just about winning. You will officially hold all the cards in the AFC North. Yeah, Chargers ain't got much of anything. Who's the hardest game left for the Ravens? Patriots. The Patriots game is the hardest game left for the Ravens. They have the three hardest games they're going to play is against the Steelers. Well, the Vikings was actually a tough game. The Vikings is actually the toughest game the Ravens were going to play this month, so they had to win this one. But the Patriots are the toughest game the Ravens have left on their schedule. Other than that, they got the Packers and the Steelers. So Patriots, Packers, and Steelers are the three toughest teams the Ravens are going to face for the rest of the year. Patriots game will be the toughest one, but the Patriots come to Baltimore, I believe, so that at least gives you a better chance. You're going to have them on the road. You got a better chance in that aspect if they're coming to your building. We'll see how we fare up against the Patriots. But yeah, Patriots are going to be the toughest game the Ravens face off against. But yeah, they got Cleveland next week, then the Jets, then the Bengals on Thanksgiving, and then in December, we'll be taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. 3rd and 16. Herbert, just eat it. Just eat that tackle right there. Get sacked. Don't even try to lose the ball. Don't even try to make a play there because you turn the ball over. You give some sort of life to the Steelers. Pittsburgh's forced to use their timeouts here because they ain't got a choice. But it ain't going to matter when you're down 22-3. This game is over. Oh my goodness. You couldn't have asked for a better scenario to work out in our favor. The Ravens were dead in the water. Ravens were dead in the water. And they got life. Yeah, Patriots at Ravens, week 16. I'm going to be honest, dude. If things work out the way it could work out for the Ravens, it's not that game against the Patriots in week 16 ain't going to matter. We'll see how this division goes. At the end of the day, the key to make the playoffs this year for the Ravens is through the division. I don't think you can make the playoffs as a wild card team with the way these teams are going. The AFC West is going to have 3 playoff teams, and the AFC East is going to have 2 playoff teams. So with that in mind, that's 3 wild card spots right there. Baltimore, in order to make the playoffs, they have to win the AFC North. And in order to do that, they got to beat the Steelers. Oh, he muffed the punt! Oh, the Steelers are treacherous! The game is over! Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, they're done. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness, bro. I hope they play so poorly against Cincinnati next week. Cincinnati's defense is so trash, but I need Joe Flacco to cook them. Joe, please do me a favor and cook the Steelers defense next week. You did it once. You could do it again. Oh my God. I know Tree's watching this in disgust. What is he doing? The Steelers collapsing. How the hell did they beat the Colts? Daniel Jones, you will not be forgiven. You will not be forgiven, Daniel Jones. How did they beat? Oh my God, we could be in first place right now. Oh my God. If Daniel Jones would have just if Daniel Jones would have done his job, we would have been in first place because they lost to the Bengals. We would be first place in the AFC North this week if Daniel Jones would have done his damn job. Oh my God. Daniel Jones turned the ball over 5 times. 5 turnovers last week. If he doesn't do that, they win the game. Oh my God. We would be first place in the AFC North right now if Daniel Jones doesn't turn the ball over 5 times. 5 turnovers in that game for Daniel Jones. At this point, just keep handing the ball off and don't worry about nothing else. You're never gonna catch me. Oh my, no. Daniel, I know they had 6 I'm saying Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones had 5 of the 6 turnovers. They had 6 turnovers. Daniel Jones had 5 of the 6 turnovers. So I specifically said Daniel Jones because Daniel Jones had 5 of the 6. First place at 4 and 5 in the AFC North. Never thought it'd be nearly reality. I mean, the possibility was very there. You know, there's been some years where the AFC North hasn't exactly been the best. But still, you know, the opportunity was right there, man. If the Colts would have beaten the Steelers, we would have been first place at 4 and 5. Oh my goodness. So yeah, that's why I said Daniel Jones specifically, because Daniel Jones threw like 2 picks and he threw 3 picks and fumbled the ball twice. So yeah, Daniel Jones, if he doesn't turn the ball over 5 times, they win that game. Dude's getting strip sacks on multiple occasions. Can't protect the football to save his life. Chargers are just killing the clock right now. It don't really matter to them. They're going to kick another field goal, make it 25-3, and make sure they solidify this, man. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Chargers making sure they separate themselves. They still have the tiebreak over the Chiefs. Oh my goodness, bro. This is perfect. This is perfect. All you got to do is beat the Colts. All you got to do to beat the Colts is take away Taylor, of course. That's what they did. That's why you didn't see Jonathan Taylor really go off against the Steelers. .42-yard field goal here. And he got it. I just want to point this out. I'm looking at the Steelers schedule right now. Let's take a look at this. The Steelers are 1-1 in the division. Baltimore is 1-0 because they beat Cleveland and they haven't played the Bengals, the Steelers yet. They'll play Cleveland again this week. If Baltimore wins, they'll go 2-0 in the division. And if the Steelers lose, they'll go to 1-1 in the division. If the Steelers lose and the Ravens win, the Ravens are first place in the AFC North next week. You couldn't have convinced anybody that that was a reality when the Ravens were 1-5. You wouldn't have been able to convince anybody of that. What's going on, Josh? Yet here we are.